in 2023, I took my 3 kids and we did a 6-month world tour in 6 countries.
I think I saw something online about that.
To celebrate the 10 years of Seedstars. So it was like full work.
Yeah.
And we brought them on and we rented villas with the teams. And so we lived with the teams and the kids. It was super cool.
How old are they? Or how old were they?
At that time, they were 1, 3, 5. So very small.
Before school,
Yeah.
so you could do that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I hope they have good memories of that. But, a 1-year-old is probably not going to remember that.
The 5-year-old has some.
Yeah. 3-year-old is...
But the idea is to do it again.
Oh, I hope
so. They're super excited. So I would like to take them out of school again in 2-year time and maybe just go live in one place.
Okay. Where did you choose?
Right now we have a huge program in Africa. So I was thinking, let's go live 5 months in Nairobi or Kigali.
Right.
Something like that.
Hello, I'm Woody Wade, the host of Getting Serious, this GGBa podcast. And today I'm here in Geneva to talk to Alisée de Tonnac, who is the visionary co-founder, and CEO of Seedstars, which is a global investment and acceleration platform which works with entrepreneurs in the developing world. Not only is she a CEO, but she's a CEO that's won many accolades and awards, which basically boil down to judging you and your impact as making you one of the most influential businesswomen of your generation. And so I'm really happy to have the chance to talk to you today. Alisée, thank you very much for welcoming the team and me into your offices.
Thank you for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure. And let's maybe start by you telling us a little bit about what Seedstar is and what your focus is.
Yes. So Seedstars is an organization that I co-founded over 10 years ago. I think we're getting into the 13th year. With a mission that hasn't changed over time, even though everything else has, of impacting people's lives in emerging markets through technology and entrepreneurship. So fundamentally backing the entrepreneurs that are going to have an impact through capital, know-how, and community. And so for the past years, we've been trying to understand what it is to build the right capital, community, and know-how for these entrepreneurs. So Seedstars is several things. It's on one side, programs, an educational platform that supports wannabe entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs in building their businesses across the different phases of that life. And on the other side, it's building and scaling the right investment vehicles that can support them in this scale-up phase.
Right. And in general, this is all done in the developing world, right? Not so much here. So from Karachi to Kigali, for example, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, right. Listen, now, as the CEO, obviously you are doing a little bit of everything, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But describe a sort of a typical trip that you would take out to, into one of these countries. What's your objective first of all, and then how would you spend your time trying to achieve that objective?
So very much, most of our trips are going to be program led. So I'm going to Nigeria because we have a
program less. You said
led.
So. Led.
In the sense that
I'm going program less. I thought good for you. Program led. Right.
We are going to El Salvador because the biggest development banks are going to be there. And it's either business development or program led in the sense that we're participating in the implementation of something.
Okay.
And then we take advantage of those trips to reunite regional or thematic teams.
Okay.
So that there's kind of a team building effect.
Okay.
But prior to COVID, we would do like over 100 events per year. So it was huge because we had the biggest startup competition for emerging markets. So we would have local, regional, and global events.
Okay.
And so there we would meet the team a lot more frequent.
So what happens at these events? These are like a full day events, and it's mainly entrepreneurs that have been identified locally by your local team.
Yes, with our vetted partners locally. And then we would have regional events. These are usually 1 week with the Global Summit because we would do boot camps for due diligence of the companies.
Right.
And then we would invest in the top ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it like a competition?
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
But now we don't do that anymore because it became a huge production. It got killed 1 or 2 years with COVID, and then launching it again. From there, we said, okay, let's do more
somehow.
Yeah,
right.
Let's do more in-depth work. Let's build schools, incubation centers, things that don't last for a week, but longer.
Okay. Understand. Yeah. But the competition, that must be a certain tension then, right? Isn't it?
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm sorry to say it like this, but in every competition, there are winners and losers, right?
Yes.
So what happens to let's start with the winner. I'm going to come to that, right? But I was thinking, let's start with the winners first, right? So what happens? They get a big chunk of startup capital,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But
And that will come from Seedstars, or that will come only from Seedstars, or will it actually be funneled through you, but originally come from
others? Yeah. So it was both.
Okay.
So we had then we structured a fund, so we would invest, but then we would have co-investors coming in, and then we would have specific mandates.
Right.
So within the competition, we would have a foundation that said, okay, can you also source for us early childhood education related companies, and then they would make a ticket or a grant prize.
Right.
So we started to largen the scope of investments or cash opportunity for these entrepreneurs.
And of course, this is all impact investing, right?
Yes.
Isn't it? So you are not just giving some money and saying,
"Go,
best of luck, guys." See you in 10 years when you're big, right? But rather, you've got some milestones that you expect them to achieve, or at least some objectives.
Yes.
That are measurable, right? So you know that the investment is working, and they can come back and maybe get a top up, right?
Yeah. But let's be very clear. We have several investment vehicles. Our venture capital fund still has a very high priority to make sure they provide market returns.
Yes.
Okay. So they really need to assess the companies in that sense. Now, the focus is quite impactful because they're doing higher risk investment per se, because they're doing early stage in frontier markets.
Right. That means that they expect an even higher return to cover for this risk?
Not necessarily, because there's a diversification strategy and they go in more mature frontier markets where
VC approach.
Exactly. So it's really, that's a VC mandate.
Yes.
But we want to be supporting entrepreneurs that maybe can't be VC backed
because they're too small, or because
too small. The business model is they're not building hyper growths, or they're not in a unicorn trajectory, but they are these very robust SMEs that have huge impact on the ground.
Right.
So that's why now we have a debt facility, and we also provide concessional loans, and then we also still provide a lot of grants, because a lot of first time entrepreneurs need some pocket money to start, to take some risk, or free money because it's expensive also.
Sure.
So depending on our programs, the thematics, we can be much more impact driven.
Yeah.
So we really we go across the spectrum between impact first and financial return first.
Right. So you work with entrepreneurs all around the world. What tips would you give to somebody who actually wanted to become an entrepreneur, especially maybe looking at that from the point of view of a Swiss entrepreneur?
Yes. So there's a lot of tips, but fundamentally, if you want to start a business, start. I think most of the students or young talents that I've met that keep saying, I want to be an entrepreneur, I'm going to build this, but first I need to do this. And they seem to pile up excuses that aren't going to make it easier, because the starting process is just extremely difficult.
Right.
And the years to come are going to be extremely difficult, and you're going to pivot a million times. And what seemed to be the dream business you wanted to build is going to look very, very different. And that's okay. So I kind of, even though it sounds quite simplistic, but I kind of push them, just start doing something.
Right.
And when you're going to learn something new. And from that, you're going to build a new assumption, and you're going to maybe meet someone, and that's going to be your co-founder. So it's the accumulation of experiences that for me have given the most confidence to entrepreneurs to continue the work that they have to do.
Right. So it's just get a move on, right?
Exactly. Move.
That's fantastic advice. Right?
Voila.
Okay. So tell me about the process for identifying who actually is going to get your attention and help.
Yeah.
Not just attention, obviously.
The complexity of Seedstars today is that we are quite diversified. So if we have two main activities. On one side, we have the let's call it the education activity, in which we build a smart methodology, which is kind of our way of teaching entrepreneurship and supporting entrepreneurs in tracking their milestones so that they can scale their businesses, which is nothing new. It's kind of putting together the right frameworks and tools of how to build a business.
Right.
And this we would do historically with the typical incubator program, accelerator program, investment ready program that we could see on the market also in Europe, but customized to these countries and to these thematics.
Right.
And now, of course, like everyone, we're trying to scale it and customize it with AI.
Yeah.
So that's kind of one model. And then the other is one part of direct. And the second one is investing. And within investing, the sourcing strategy is very different depending on which investment vehicle we're talking about. So we have our VC funds, and then they have a specific strategy of sourcing. Our early stage global VC fund does tickets of 200 to $500,000. They do not lead investments. They co-invest.
Okay.
That means the job of the team of that VC fund is to build the best network of co-investors, finding the right VC funds, the right actors in Brazil, in Nigeria, in Indonesia to co-invest with.
Okay.
And build that relationship. Then we have more mature funds like Seedstars Africa Ventures, which leads. So their sourcing strategy is different. Their portfolio will be smaller than the early stage one. And so it's doubling down on specific entrepreneurs and industries where they believe they can support and follow them throughout the whole journey, because they're coming in a bit later stage. They're taking a seat at the board level. So it's a very different relationship.
Right.
And then we do concessional loans. So I provide loans of $2,000 to a young rural entrepreneur in Ethiopia.
Okay.
Like $500,000 venture dent to a B2B marketplace in Nigeria. So every time the sourcing and screening strategy differs, and it's different teams building this.
Right. Interesting. So it's not quite microcredit.
I guess
that would
we're
be
getting
like
close to the 2K is getting close to microcredit.
Right.
But of course, with our proposition of having this hybrid model of working with local institutions, vetting the entrepreneurs through our methodology, which can be done finally thanks to AI, because I can, at a reasonable cost, build a long-term relationship with these entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And I don't need them to be extremely startup or tech savvy in that sense, because we can, through AI, communicate by WhatsApp in their local language, and I can identify and collect enormous data to be able to support and build a credit profile.
Right. Wow.
So lots.
No, but it's very complex, isn't it? I mean, at the end of the day, you have one thing that you're really trying to achieve, obviously, but there are so many different ways that you can do that, and then you replicate that, in how many different countries?
A lot.
It's a lot, right? But how many about?
I mean, investment-wise, I think we're exposed in over 40 countries.
Right.
Program-wise, over the past 10 years, we've been in nearly over 80 countries.
80 countries?
Yes.
I didn't even know there were 80 countries. Oh,
there are more.
Yeah, exactly. That's amazing. I mean, it's a hugely, I can kind of imagine you looking at a spreadsheet, if there's such a thing, how many columns does it have and how many rows does it have? And there's lots and lots of information that, that would together show you what the aggregate is of what you're doing, right?
Yes.
Do you look at at Seedstars from that kind of holistic point of view, or is it, I mean, you're the CEO, so of course you must. So I answer my own question rather than have you answer it. But how do you do that? Because it's all, I mean, relatively, is there any one project or any one program that would represent even 2% of your total activity? Are they all really small?
Yes, actually much bigger, because when I was saying over the past 10 years, it's in discontinuity. Most of these programs last 6 months, 1 year, 2, and it's been more recently that we're shifting to multi-year programs.
Okay. So, and those are by their nature, they're bigger then, right?
Exactly. Okay. And so they take a much bigger portion and weighted. So I think that we've been exposed in that many markets, but today concretely, I think we have right now 10 programs running in parallel, you see? And so that's more or less, and So we do look at it in an aggregate, but I think it's more of a diversification strategy where we identify kind of the key priority projects. And then we have a set of incubated projects that we're testing and figuring out if they're going to be the next kind of levier. It's strange, I don't have the word in English, but the next kind of wave of growth at Seedstars.
Okay.
Because what we do is, it's really difficult in the sense that we are trying to be to constantly balance profit and purpose.
Right.
And so it's never about growth for growth. It's, are we growing with the sense that the activities we are delivering would have a potential intended positive impact?
Right.
And I say potential because it's very long-term what we're doing. I don't know if this program where I spent 6 months with this entrepreneur is actually going to be catalytic enough to build in 10 years' time, because that's how long it takes, a resilient and scalable business that actually has an impact on the region and to those citizens.
Right. But not knowing that must be a problem, because you can't just say, well, I'm not sure it will, so, adios and good luck. You in a way kind of have to keep
doing
keep the relationship alive, and that means funding.
Yeah.
Right. So you have
very difficult, because the more you want to create an intimate relationship, the more the funnel extremely narrows, and then you find yourself speaking to only 100 of entrepreneurs, but you were exposed
only 100.
I mean, if you're really talking about kind of an intimate relationship over a decade, kind of is.
Yes.
But it's wonderful because now we have more than 10 years history of Seedstars. Going back to, I mean, recently I was in Latin America, and you meet these entrepreneurs that were one way or another exposed to Seedstars, either through an event or a program or an investment. Mm-hmm. And they're really convinced that we were part of that, one of those pivotal moments that allowed them to go to the next level. And that's good enough for me also.
Of course.
But
that's very rewarding for both of you, right?
Exactly. Right. But like any company that's trying to scale, we just have a set of hypotheses and different indicators that we hope that we reassess constantly to see if they're accurate or not, to identify this intended impact. So in the impact development space, the best framework we found so far is the theory of change. And theory of change. Okay. And you see, that's how good it gets. It's still a theory.
Okay.
But
you're going to test this theory.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's all about testing the theory of, okay, my theory is that if I do this set of activity, the direct output is going to be X amount of new jobs, increase in revenue of this company, a more dignified work conditions. So you set kind of all the direct outputs, which lead to certain outcomes, which will then lead to certain long-term impact.
Interesting. Yeah.
So that's kind of how we're trying to track and reassess.
Right.
But again, it's a theory. So I agree, it's quite vague.
Yeah. Well, that doesn't sound very vague. I mean, it is based on projections, right?
Exactly.
And projections are based on assumptions.
Exactly. But there are a whole lot of assumptions.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, it's interesting because, I'm not going to blow my own horn here, but what I specialize in is scenario planning. Uh-huh. And so it sounds very similar, with the exception being that, maybe you have one set of assumptions that you're making, and in scenario planning you would say, what if we went that way, what if we went that way? So we have a portfolio of futures.
True.
And a portfolio of potential outcomes in that case.
Absolutely.
And then the question is, well, what do you do with that information? Now you're even more confused, right?
No, but it's exactly that. But if I really had to simplify, and we assess this once a year at least, we always come back to job creation.
Oh, okay.
That still is the most impactful thing we see on the market.
I can imagine.
I mean, some of the biggest issues why we can't support more entrepreneurs or build more unicorns or innovation in the market is just that there's not enough jobs. There's so many talents without jobs. And in these markets, the best job you could get is not being an entrepreneur like many would think in Europe. It's getting that secure job. But there aren't these corporates. Yes. There aren't enough.
Right.
The industry is not mature enough to hire all these people.
Right.
So you can look at the problem in so many ways. But if we want to build more resilient ecosystems, we need to figure out how to build more long-term sustainable jobs.
Right. But does AI actually represent an obstacle to that then? Because AI
It's an obstacle and an opportunity.
Yes, right.
So we've seen a lot of those more tedious tasks or freelance jobs or more junior coding. So a lot of that was already heavily outsourced to many of these markets. And so that hurts a lot.
Yes.
Because it was real income sources.
Yep.
And the arbitrage made sense. So there was a growth in these job opportunities where AI is slowly killing it one by one.
Yes.
So that has been a kind of a short-term effect. But I think I don't know as well the numbers, but in Europe, it's the same thing. But at the same time, AI for us, it's kind of closing the gap because I'm able to access these entrepreneurs, kind of last mile entrepreneurs,
right,
thanks to AI, because we're kind of also democratizing the capability to access knowledge in a customized way. So there's still obstacles. I mean, you think of one country, there are actually 200 dialects. And of course, these dialects are not on AI and things like that. And right now I see it as AI are these entrepreneurs as users and not the ones producing or creating.
Right.
But hopefully there will be opportunities for that.
So AI is actually kind of facilitating your communication?
Yes.
Interesting. Because I don't think many people actually use it that way, right? I mean, they used AI to facilitate communication in the sense of like, hey, ChatGPT, write this email for me, right? But it sounds like you're doing something a little bit more profound than that, right?
Yeah, and I think it's like facilitating the whole. It can be communication, but the whole kind of processing how you want to build the user journey for whatever business. AI is a huge game changer in that. So in that sense, I think for us it was communicating, but then it's kind of how do we supply better entrepreneurs for potential loans or other type of financial products, or how do we provide the right information at the right time for these entrepreneurs. And so in that sense, it's kind of the extension of what digitalization is, but AI brings it to a whole other level, the interface.
I can see that. Let's come back to this idea, though, of, you have to identify the entrepreneurs who have the ideas, which have the potential to enter your network then, right? Do you identify them, or do they actually come to you and say, hey, I've got this idea, I've heard about you? How does that work, on the ground?
Both ways. We have started to build a brand and a credibility where entrepreneurs come to us or other investors come to us. But it goes both ways because we're not just one type of investor. We represent different asset class. We represent different funds and vehicles. We sometimes have kind of specific mandates from foundations, development banks, family offices.
Right.
And so then we have a sourcing strategy, which is kind of push and pull, where we push to our community, but also they come because they clearly see that there's a fit with what they're doing.
When you say they come, I mean,
they come because they see
that you have a standing in that market. They know that you exist, or they've heard of you before.
Exactly.
They've been
either we coordinated an event, or there's a call for application. So there's a whole communication strategy to reach. So the more recent one was we've launched a program to support entrepreneurs with disabilities in Southeast Asia.
Okay.
So it's very specific.
Yeah, right.
And then for that, we had a whole marketing strategy to communicate to the different communities. And then we did partnerships with specific local enterprise support organizations. So it can be the local accelerators, incubator, VCs, whoever is the go-to person or organization to reach these entrepreneurs. Yeah. And we try to do it also in local language, because if we stick to English, we're just missing out on a whole community. And so that would be the strategy. And then some also come because they've participated at this event, or they saw this ESO speaking about it.
Okay. And now let's come back to the losers.
Yeah.
Okay. I just don't want to drop that.
Yeah.
So what happens when somebody actually comes and pitches and you don't see it as something that you want to? Yeah, right. Yeah. What happens next? Does this person get a second chance to adjust the business plan and come back and say, what do you think now?
I think we're quite sincere in saying there's not a fit because ABC, but sincerely, it's a question of time. It's a question of traction.
Yeah.
It's a question of growth. And under these conditions, we'd like to keep contact or rediscuss in 6 to 12 months.
Yeah, so the world can change,
happens.
and they can also change their approach, right?
Yeah,
and the fit will be better, right?
Exactly. So that happens. And then it's really a no, there's no fit.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes many come to us without doing their due diligence on our fund, really what's our thesis, what are the stage. So there isn't that fit. And sometimes they're lucky. It's, wow, you're an entrepreneur building services for people in wheelchairs. Hey, guess what? We have a program dedicated just for that with investors only in this niche that are going to be participating in this program. Come here.
Yeah.
Or there's an entrepreneur that we didn't think was a fit for one of our VC funds, but we're also managing a private debt portfolio, and it's like the perfect venture debt opportunity. So let's come here. So slowly, we're starting to see this kind of cross-pollination across the different vehicles because we're starting to represent a diverse set of financial assets that allows us to speak to a larger community.
Yeah.
When we were just doing equity for early stage startup funds, I mean, we were saying no all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And that must have hurt. I mean, emotionally, just like you don't want to say no. Of course, you don't want to say yes to somebody where the fit is bad.
Yeah, for sure. But thankfully, I'm not active right now in any investment committee because I really would want to say yes to everything.
Oh.
In the sense, it's super rare to meet a jerk or an uninteresting with it. 99.9% are entrepreneurs that defy all odds. Of course. Extremely passionate, trying to build something that is reasonably
and you'd
interesting.
Like to help them.
And you want to help
them.
That's
the most natural thing in the world, right?
Exactly.
Are they good communicators? I once sat on I was like a part of a mock jury. It wasn't a real jury. Mm-hmm. And there were some students who did kind of this Shark Tanky thing, right? And they, boy, were they good. I mean, they must have practiced 100 times to have their 5 minutes down and really, really good. But, obviously that has to happen or something like that has to happen in your world a lot. If you talk about somebody who's an entrepreneur in a developing country that, maybe has never seen this happen before, whether it's on television, like, the Dragon's Den or Shark Tank or something, or just ever been exposed to it. Do they really know how to do this? Do they get some coaching?
They do. Depending on the programs they join, that's part of what we help them. Oh, yeah. But then we needed to also do a lot of work because what you have in mind is this typical startup ecosystem way of pitching. It's brutal. You've got 5 minutes in your elevator and make it sound big because I'm not going to give you another minute.
Right. This is your one and only chance, right?
Exactly. And we were really representing this model because we had startup competitions, as I was mentioning, in over 100 countries. So it was really the model we're putting forward. Yeah. But quickly, according to cultures, according to minority groups, even women telling us, this is not how we pitch. So and it was really interesting because we had done a panel with women entrepreneurs and they told us, look, our solution today as startups, again, entrepreneurs, it's a large spectrum from the micro to, so that's specifically on entrepreneurs building high growth ventures. They were like, me as a woman, my best option today is just speak like a man.
Okay.
But she felt that it wasn't appropriate to go on stage with a 4-minute pitch because that's not how she sells her company. Okay. She wants more time face-to-face. Okay. She wants to show you her sales pipeline because maybe what she sees it a bit more conservatively because it's at this stage in her sales pipeline that she can tell you she's got X million committed.
And it takes more time to explain.
Versus So I thought that was really interesting because we started changing the way we engaged with entrepreneurs because and culturally also we were seeing in Asia it was a very different way. Africa, they were extremely charismatic. In many countries, and they were telling us it's because of church. So they've been very used to going on stage and sharing and storytelling. Really? Oh. And so it was very surprising to see how good. I
wouldn't have thought that. Yeah. I never would have imagined that would have been a factor. But I can see that, actually.
And then we had language barriers. And so we were asking them to pitch in English because we were ultimately kind of a European fund investing globally. Right. But language is a huge barrier. So how much do you miss out on great entrepreneurs? Because fundamentally, you couldn't communicate what you were saying in a specific language.
Right.
So all this we've been tailoring and rethinking. And then, of course, the more the stakes and the ticket size you put, the more due diligence, and it's never a 5-minute pitch. So we've never approached our investment strategy that way. I mean, we've never sprayed that quickly and big. Some do, great.
Right.
But we can't allow ourselves to do so.
No, I can understand that. And it's fair. But on the other hand, you do have to draw the line somewhere, right?
Absolutely.
And if somebody can't convince you you keep giving them more time and they still can't convince you, you need to move on, right?
Yeah.
Are most of the projects that you fund, either directly or indirectly, strictly local, or they have plans to actually scale outside of their home countries?
So they're local in the sense that our thesis stays emerging frontier markets. So basically, we don't invest in Western Europe and Northern America.
Right.
And Japan and some more richer. I mean,
but would a Rwandan company actually spy the market in France, for example, and say, we want to grow
agree.
in Rwanda?
Why
and
not? Yes.
Leapfrog into the Francophone world.
Yeah,
right?
that's okay for us. We see a lot of Latin American companies that see their second market, the States, still.
Oh, not even the country next door, but they're going to...
Yes, it's possible. And sometimes, U.S. is still the most attractive market for many of them.
Right.
And historically, that's where legally they were
it's not.
based.
It can't be easy. Can't be. I mean, it's not easy for even Americans to do that in America.
Sure.
Right. But would you help them at that stage, or at that stage, are they too big for you to?
We would definitely help them, but I don't think that's where our strong point would be.
Right.
What we have seen, but it's still anecdotal. I can't say it's become a kind of a strategy in itself. Mm-hmm. Is actually the market conditions between the Philippines and South Africa on financial service is much more similar than if they had to cross border in Africa.
Oh.
And so we're starting to see companies expand outside the continent, but it's still a south-south expansion.
Okay, I see what you mean.
So that's where we can really help because we have this global community. So we can start kind of facilitating the first.
It's more about the profile of the market rather than the size of the market.
Yes,
something like that,
exactly. Right? Or you would think that there would be more cultural similarities, but it's actually very different within a continent, the countries. And and here there's another company I was speaking to from South Africa that moved to Tanzania, and now they're looking actually in Saudi Arabia. Huh. So you see these kind of expansion opportunities that are working, which seemed counterintuitive for a very long time, but we're seeing this more and more.
Yeah. Well, one of the questions that I had sort of noted down to ask you today, I think maybe we've answered that, but I'll just ask it anyway, get it out of the way, right? But one of the things that that the whole podcast series has been about is not just interesting people who are based in Switzerland, and you are one of them, obviously.
Thank you.
But more than that, it's just about how do these interesting people help to profile Switzerland as an interesting place to invest, or at least make Switzerland very attractive to somebody who wouldn't necessarily know a lot about the country, and they would. So one thing you have here, of course, is a lot of talent.
Yes.
Right. I mean, you'd agree with me on that, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
But your big job is to spot talent that's
elsewhere,
somewhere else, right? Do you see a chance that some of those entrepreneurs could ever be attracted to Switzerland, or is that something that you would even try to make them do? I think I already know the answer to the question, but I'm just asking anyway.
Actually, it's interesting.
Can you see what I mean?
Yeah. So I think there are two sides to this story. One, Seedstars has always been very much promoted as a Swiss company. Mm-hmm. I mean, we doubled down on what Swiss means. Switzerland means around the world. So it was always a part of our DNA.
Right.
The first network that helped us in 2013 to start the competition, I took a backpack and did 20 countries in 10 months to launch the first edition of Seedstars World. That was the name of the competition. Okay. And the first network that supported us and that helped us was the Swiss embassies.
Sure.
But
can imagine.
The Swiss embassy was hosting most of our events.
Right.
had unbelievable connections with the ambassadors, and we would see them over the years because they would be transferred to different countries, and then we would meet them again.
Exactly, right.
It was a very strong community, actually, that we were working with. And with the Swiss flag comes neutrality. So it allowed us to always focus on the entrepreneur and never be limited to the borders of certain countries. We really went everywhere.
Yeah.
And Switzerland allowed us to do that.
That's right.
And it also represented a sense of premium, professionalism, which again helped us a lot.
Yeah.
Especially in the first, when we were backpacking, we were really knocking on doors. We knew no one in Kigali. We knew no one in Azerbaijan, etc. And so coming in and putting a nice shirt and saying, oh, we're like this Swiss company building a global competition. It worked.
The door opens.
It worked.
Isn't that amazing?
And we had the Swiss embassy backing us. So we looked serious enough. So we were always like...
You were serious, right? Yeah, so but you also had to look serious. That also helped.
We looked serious at that time. And so it was really... it's really, really profound. We profoundly believe in being Swiss. We still believe Switzerland has a place in being the think tank and a catalyzer for impact investing around the world. We have some great microfinance institutes. We have unbelievable international organizations.
Right.
We can define it.
Their investment.
Yes, but not in a very... in a systemic way in which everyone pulls their weights to make something bigger. So we're still quite in silos.
Okay.
But I think Switzerland has that opportunity. Okay. So we also still believe a lot in what Switzerland has to bring in positioning the world and positioning. And today it's called impact investing, whatever it will be tomorrow, because everyone changes their acronyms. But that's something very important for us. And then on the other side is that we've been working with the different cantons. We've been working with the Swiss business hubs. We've been working with Swiss corporates to see how we could look at different interesting innovations and projects in key markets. Some we had met, there was a Russian entrepreneur that came to Lausanne for some time. We've seen kind of entrepreneurs also looking at Switzerland for very specific regions, maybe for the technology, the talent pool, or a clear kind of collaboration they have with one of the cantons. And I believe in it absolutely.
Yeah. Would you consider going to one of the banks and starting a fund which would invest in the kinds of projects that you end up investing in or directing investment towards around the world or in specific markets? Does something like that make sense?
As in... Because we already have funds, so you mean specifically funneling Swiss?
Well, I'm not even really sure exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
But something like you would go to one of the big banks.
Yeah.
We won't name any names, or a bank that could do this, right?
Yes.
And saying, here's what we do, and
for sure,
the return, not a guaranteed return, obviously, but there is an attractive return, and for 300 million or something like that.
Absolutely.
We'd like to establish something.
Some of our funds, we need market returns as good as Europe. So I think we have very attractive products. And then we have more, let's call them concessional impact first vehicles. And that speaks to another type of investors. Right. But today, most of our investors are either DFIs, so this kind of the World Bank, IFC.
What's a DFI stand for?
Development Finance Institution.
Okay.
So we have these types of investors. We have foundations like the Visa Foundation or Rockefeller Foundation that also are investors now. They don't just provide grants.
Right.
And then, of course, family offices, Swiss family offices, but also European.
Right.
I think we know them, but I wonder if we are still too small to be attractive enough, maybe for some of these banks.
I don't know. I don't know.
But
I guess the difference in my mind, and I'm not an expert in this field at all, but I guess the difference in my mind was that if there would be a fund that one of the big banks had actually established on your behalf, then a small investor like me could say, "Oh, I'd like to buy some shares in this fund," right? So that the money comes in from thousands of individual people and ends up where you want it to be, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes any sense, but and again, like I say, I'm not an expert there, but
we had tried to look into
size issues, right?
And attractiveness. I think it depends what their clients want and what's structured. But you're right. And I know we've had discussions, but it's never come to fruition. Where we've had mandates, it's been more from the foundations at this stage or family offices. But we've tried crowdfunding. We've tried.
Interesting. How did that work?
Not so well, but it was 8 years ago. And the idea that we would crowdfund a ticket in the winner of the startup competition. And I think people it was too much of a black box. It didn't speak enough.
Plus, that's just crowdfunding for basically one thing, right?
Yeah.
Not for a portfolio of projects. Right?
No. At that time, I don't think we could. Yeah. I think it was a London-based crowdfunding platform. But so much to be done.
Yeah.
So many opportunities.
Yeah. Let's talk about you.
Yes.
How did you get into this? I mean, I know a little bit about your background because I've done my research, and you were working for L'Oréal.
Yes.
And something about that job apparently didn't quite
click,
chime with your long-term goals, right?
Yes.
And so tell us about that, and how did you come up with the idea then for Seedstars?
I think I was always very much interested by nonprofits, and I had done a lot of internships when I was young in different nonprofit organizations, maybe in Brazil or in France at that time. I had interviewed several people working at the UN because I thought maybe that would be my route, and they kind of quickly.
This was before L'Oréal?
Yes.
Okay.
And I was quickly discouraged.
Oh.
Because
why? They discouraged you, or you just felt discouraged?
They just.
By what
I felt discouraged by what they were saying.
Okay. They were trying to encourage you, but it wasn't enough.
It wasn't the right way, I guess.
Interesting.
It didn't speak my language. It didn't feel like I could own it or we could. There wasn't this entrepreneurship DNA, I guess, that was missing. I didn't verbalize it that way.
You were burning for that then, right?
Maybe not burning, because I ultimately believe at least I started out as a follower. I'm not the founder with a vision that loves the blank sheet of paper and says, let's start from there. I'm still very much terrified by the blank sheet of paper. My co-founders are very good at that.
Okay.
So I
mean, the fact that you went to go work for a large corporation shows that,
was kind of the logical next step for me. That it was always a good student academically, getting good grades, participating in all the extracurricular activity, part of the debate class, and then president of the student committee. I mean, I was ticking the boxes. That was kind of what I thought.
You had a great CV.
Exactly. I thought you needed to build a great CV and be with a big brand, with a nice title, and be part of their kind of career path trajectory.
That's the typical MBA mindset at the time, isn't it? Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I remember the CEO of L'Oréal coming in one of the visits in Italy, and we were part of this, great talent pool track. So we were 15 talents around the table, and he said, "Who thinks they'll be in L'Oréal in 10 years?" And I was the only one who didn't raise my hand. And because I honestly think I'm not giving you 10 years, I don't know.
Wow.
And I remember HR me convoqué, asking for a meeting, and they were shocked. They're like, "How dare you? I would have signed on the spot. This is not..." And
wow.
And because there was this mentality that it couldn't get better than this.
Oh.
And I think this and many moments where talents were calculating how many years to retirement and like what they could deduct because they did this or 2 more years of school, and then others like the obsession of doing an MBA inside, and that's just more experiences and engagements with talent that seems so comfortable in this environment, and me not at all feeling comfortable.
Right.
Kind of pushed me to start looking elsewhere.
Okay.
So changing my circle, changing where I was going or thinking.
Okay.
And I got super lucky because now that I meet so many founders, I know how hard it is to build a founding team and get it right.
Okay.
And I met my co-founders and kind of the rest is history.
Oh.
So it was that easy in many ways for me. And they had already launched their own businesses. They already had an entrepreneurial spirit. So I had unbelievable mentors to kickstart my entrepreneurial journey.
But Seedstars did not start with a blank piece of paper?
completely.
Oh, yeah, it did. Okay.
It's funny because I don't know if I'll ever own to the fact that I'm a founder, but I was following their vision.
Okay.
I wasn't. I would have never had the courage to say, okay, quit everything, go do the world tour, build a competition in 20 countries with like 1/3 of the money. So we bought all our flights tickets, so we were forced to do all the countries, but we didn't know if we could live after 3 months. So all this alone, I could have never taken those decisions.
Sure.
So I really had their backing, and it just felt so easy and comfortable for them.
Really?
I was learning how to be
You
uncomfortable.
could have been terrified.
No, I was terrified. I mean,
But
really
you
terrified.
felt like they were still in good hands in a way, right?
In really good hands.
Oh, that's a great combination.
And so for years, they've trained my muscle of being an entrepreneur and just feeling comfortable in the uncomfortable.
Right.
But that's not natural for me at all. And as a girl ticking boxes, I wasn't trained that way. Mm-hmm. I mean, anecdotally, like just to give you an example, in L'Oréal, but in general in corporate life, you put everyone in copy of your emails. You don't want to be accountable for it. Okay. You always put everyone in copy. That's kind of the rule.
Really?
And I see that still in many people that work in corporates. It's not your responsibility.
Yes.
I would do that. And at some point I get a message from one of my founders saying, I hope you know that in any case, it's your fault and it'll be fine. And get over it. Like kind of saying, it's not because you put everyone in copy that it's going to not happen if ever it goes south or north. Right. So that's just to give a sense of how I was operating.
You had to kind of unlearn this corporate thing, right?
Completely.
Yeah. Oh, but that's a nice thing to unlearn, though, isn't it?
For sure. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So where do you see Seedstars going in the next 5 years or so?
I mean, we would love to, on the AI side, for the first time, because we're like really fine-tuning a methodology of how you provide the right learning support to build the right skills for these entrepreneurs at different phases of their business trajectory. Mm-hmm. For the first time, in many ways, we're moving from being a service company to a product company.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And so,
interesting.
Can we become a product company? That's the big question for us in the next years.
And how would you define that product?
It's this, my co-founder who's building it would do it much better. We don't have a one-liner for the moment. We're still
5 minutes.
We're still defining the product market fit here, which we don't know. Okay. But if we wanted to have the biggest impact, I think it would be to unlock capital for entrepreneurs in the last regions around the world. Okay. And unlocking that would be to provide a platform that allows to distribute these different financial products to these entrepreneurs because we have built the right credit profile. Okay. And we have the right
package that, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Because otherwise it's a whole bunch of services that you perform. But if you package it somehow, you can say this is a product, right?
Exactly. But right now we're primarily working with donors. And so they're not seeing that as the most important thing. They're seeing, wow, I finally have one platform that aggregates all the data and I can do all my monitoring and evaluation on my programs. Right. So they see it kind of as a one-stop shop for program management. Right. And then I speak. So right now, because there are so many stakeholders, I still haven't found like what is the product market fit that makes it scalable. Yeah. But ultimately unlocking capital for these entrepreneurs, if we step back, would be the most impactful. Okay, I understand. So can we be a product company? Big question mark. And then on the fund side is how do we reallocate more capital to these markets? Yeah. And what does the market need? Yeah. Do we need more VC funds? Do we need more? I mean, we need more of everything ultimately. But where do we sit in all of this? Yeah, that's really interesting. Let me ask you another question. This sort of look a little bit personal rather than professional. But you've lived in some different places around the world, right? You lived in Singapore, I think, right? You lived in France. Mm-hmm. You've lived in the U.S. and in Italy. Yes. And now Switzerland, right? Yes. And also in Nigeria for a year where we started our first incubation center. You were there for a whole year? Yeah. Oh, yes. Absolutely. Okay. So that counts as living someplace. It's not, you weren't a tourist living in a in an Airbnb, in a co-working space.
Exactly, in the Four Seasons, Lagos or something, right? What is it about Switzerland that makes this a place where you decided, of all places where you could have set this up, that this was the right place to do it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And the subsidiary question is, are you happy here? Do you like it? I mean, the quality of life here is kind of special, but do you see it that way? Do you agree with me? And what is it about this place that, makes you stay here?
Yeah. I think so. We really started out of Switzerland, and in many ways, Switzerland's incubated us. So we believe in kind of the Swiss values. And so it made sense to be here because me and my founders, we had a great network started.
Are they Swiss,
here.
By the way?
Yes.
Okay.
And I just became Swiss. So they're super happy.
Congratulations.
So we had a really strong network, and the network is kind of, the famous 3 Fs, friend, family, and fool that start the journey with you. So they will...
Fool?
Yeah.
I never heard that before.
Friends, family, and fools.
Oh my
You
goodness.
kind of have to be foolish to support the kickstart of any entrepreneurial journey.
Okay. Interesting.
Well, they're in Switzerland, many of them. They're friends, family, and fools. So
most of them are friends and family. Let's be
absolutely
honest about that. Okay. Right.
And they're all and there are first supporters.
Yes.
So we really had a really great support system here in Switzerland.
Right.
And then as we grew our families, so each having children, Switzerland became this kind of perfect place to balance out our project, Seedstars, but also having our families here.
Yeah.
So that's always made us stay. Now, there is some downside where there's not this. I mean, when we travel and we go in these larger hubs or in even in the States, there's just sometimes we're missing this level of energy that you can experience in these more intense hubs, where you want to be surrounded by more people that dream absurdly big. Because sometimes we find ourselves stuck with our ideas because it's not in Swiss culture.
Okay. You mean an entrepreneurial spirit, or what? What's
the
missing?
Aggressivity of going all in.
Aggressivity, though. That's a key word. Though,
so
right?
the aggressivity, and then also this sense of wanting to build a global, life-changing organization, whatever it may be. Right. So that's sometimes a momentum we lose. There are a lot of these entrepreneurs, but sometimes the density doesn't allow you to all just be in one place.
I was going to say, you're part of what you exist for is to find those people, right?
Absolutely.
Right, and they are kind of everywhere. But it's a question of distribution, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Right, and you've managed to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Did you have a connection to Geneva before? Where did you grow up?
No, I grew up in Singapore in the States. I'm French, but I did HEC Lausanne.
Yes.
So that's how I got connected to Switzerland.
Okay.
And a lot of my friends were from Geneva.
Okay.
And my 2 co-founders are from Geneva.
Right. So that was just the natural place to be in, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Okay. It wasn't because you had some pre-existing reason to live in Geneva.
No.
Interesting. And hopefully you're happy with that decision, right?
Very.
It's a nice place.
No,
You've
it's
got
amazing.
Beautiful offices and perfect location.
Perfect.
A little noisy. Hopefully not picking up on the microphone, but it's all right. That's all the noise is outside on the street. That's it.
And we're very central within Europe, and I love a lot of the reflections, the debate that I still find here, which is not always the case everywhere. So no, very proud.
That's true. Actually, I have one final question.
Yes.
You just mentioned that you became Swiss.
Yes.
This very recently, right? Can you talk a little bit about this journey of becoming a Swiss citizen?
It was very simple because my children were Swiss.
Mm-hmm.
And so at some point I felt it important also to become Swiss. And so much when you're more than 10 years in one country, you feel very much attached to it. And I want to be part of it, and I want to be part of its story. And that's why I joined InnoSuisse a couple of years back. I'm in the board of many Swiss companies, really with this wish and intention to support the ecosystem.
Right. Right. And the process itself is not very complicated. I mean, it takes a little time.
Yes, I think it's administrative in that sense. It
Yeah.
takes a bit of a time, but no, it was
Yeah.
very smooth.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah, we said thank you.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, we did, no? Yeah,
thank you.
No,
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, we did. We did.